If you're applying for a spouse visa, I want you to stop right now because one mistake can get your visa refused. Some people think having a marriage certificate is enough and you will get the visa. You couldn't be more wrong. In the recent years, I've seen so many refusals, and in today's video, one of the main requirements of spouse visa is that your partner who is actually calling you to the UK must be either a British citizen, Irish citizen, or having a settled status. And then there are other categories also, but I'm going to only stick to somebody who's got a settled status. Now, settled status in the UK is a legal term, which simply means that they've got something called ILR. ILR stands for indefinite leave to remain in the UK. Some people don't even find out that their partner has even a settled status or the evidence of settled status. Just because somebody is in the UK doesn't mean that you become eligible for spouse visa. So that's one of the issues that I find, that people have not even discovered whether the person they got married to is actually lawfully settled in the UK. Okay, so first thing is you need to find out about that. The second thing is people think that marriage certificate is a proof of relationship. And I can tell you, I've seen many cases where people relied on a marriage certificate and they were refused. Because the Home Office is not looking at one-off event like marriage happened on this and this date at this and this venue, and you were happy, you took photographs, that's the end of the story. No, they are looking beyond your past, they're looking towards your future. And they need hard, concrete, real evidence to understand that first, you have a genuine, ongoing relationship. You must be married. If you're not married, you're on fiancé, then you must be intending to marry within the 6 months. But I am assuming that you got married. So instead of just relying on marriage certificate, you need to prove to them that you've been living together for 2 years. Now, in certain cultures, most of the subscribers and the people who watch me are in India, in Pakistan, besides the UK. In certain cultures, I understand completely that this is not acceptable because it's not the cultural norm. Now, the Home Office is not expecting you to break the cultural norm. What they're expecting is, can you prove to us that you are in an ongoing relationship? Now, how do you prove that? Well, communication. You can show that you've been communicating on WhatsApp over the period of time. You can clearly say that my culture, it's not allowed to stay with my partner prior to the marriage. Hence, here is my WhatsApp history over the last 8 months or 1 year or 2 years where I've communicated with my husband. And in that, you need clarity, you need precision and a logical order. If you just provide a dump of your WhatsApp chat history in language that the caseworkers don't understand, now if you, for example, some people in Pakistan, they communicate in Urdu, or some people communicate in Hindi, what do you do that? Then in such circumstances, you provide the original chat and you provide them that side by side. On one side, this is my communication for the period of, say, January 2024, February 2024, March, April, May, June. Select certain communications like 2 or 3 per month or 4 or 5 per month that you've been speaking. And then on the right hand side, you provide the translation from that. And then they can read that and they can check for themselves that the translation provided is accurate. Now, what else can you provide? You can provide emails that you've been discussing plans to go on vacation or a holiday or a honeymoon. That is also a viable proof, right? Because then you can say, in my culture, it's not allowed, but we often call each other on every Saturday, or here is my chat log of that, here is the translation of that. Then what you can also provide, if you've attended some ceremonies together before your husband came back to the UK, engagement party, any dinner party where you took pictures, recognizing that this is a separate proof that proves our relationship, that despite the fact that our cultural norms do not allow us, here is a proof that we spend time together. He was there for 30 days. Here is his ticket. In those 30 days, we went to this place, say in Pakistan or in Lahore or in New Delhi or in Mumbai, and we ate dinner at this and this place. Here is the bill of that place. This was the date, time, and stamp. The person in the picture in the middle is my husband. I'm sitting on the left-hand side. Then there is my father-in-law, mother-in-law. If you provide like that, you understand that you are building credibility and you're making the life of the caseworker easier, because his or her intention is only to find out that do you have an ongoing genuine relationship, right? Because they want to find out that when you come to the UK, are you going to be living together? What are your plans? For example, if you discuss that when I come, I want to work. Okay, what kind of field do you want to work in? What kind of pay scales you can expect? If you've had discussions like these are excellent proof to provide that despite the cultural norms, that you have an ongoing relationship, right? So that's what really make mistake is not understanding the financial requirements. So there is a certain threshold which the home office expects you to meet. For example, if you want to call your spouse to the UK, you must be earning at least 29,000 pounds per year gross, that is before the taxes have been deducted. Okay, now you have to show that by a certain way. I've seen, despite the fact that somebody is earning more than 29,000 pounds, their visa was still rejected. Why? Because the amount that was written in the payslip was not exactly the amount that was sitting in the bank account, or the bank statements were missing. For example, they showed only, instead of 12 months payslip or 6 months payslip before the application, or the 12 months application, 3 months were missing, or it was not matching what was written in the employment contract. Say for example, employment contract stated their income is 31,500 pounds, but when they look at the payslips, the gross salary and was not 1/12 of the 31,500, which meant that probably the payslips were fabricated, or there was deception, and then you can kiss goodbye to ever living together. Because if you lie or if you use deception to secure a visa, then you most likely are going to be banned. Now, in certain cases, some people I have also noticed is that salary threshold. Sometimes somebody is earning 25,000 pounds, and I was on Facebook looking at a blog where one of the husband is actually got a job in Cyprus, and one person is actually in the UK, but she's earning 28,000 pounds, so she was 1,000 pounds short of the threshold. What people don't realize is there are other ways to prove income. Do you know that you can use cash savings also as an income? But there is a formula for that, and that is exactly why you need structured advice or consultation to look at your documents, assess your documents, and find the best way to prove that you meet each and every threshold. They did not read the guidance. They did not understand that there are other ways to provide or to meet the income threshold. Another challenge that I saw was what to do when somebody is self-employed. There is another way to prove your income if you're self-employed. And this is, even though you might be earning that amount of money, but the fact that you've not been able to put that in a document and get it validated, which the home office caseworker can check and authenticate, may result in a visa refusal. Another classic example, because you come to the UK, you're expected to speak in English. Therefore, you need to prove knowledge of English language. What people have done, despite the fact that they've passed the test, they were still refused the visa. Why? Because they did not go to an authorized testing center that has been approved by the UKVI or UK Home Office. Now, so you will say, I passed the test, why have they refused my application? Right? Because you did not pay attention to the fact in the guidance in the visa application form or on the gov.uk, there are certain limited authorized training centers both inside and outside the UK. So when you're outside the UK, only those centers that you go there, get yourself tested, attain the certificate up to that level, and then provide that, because Home Office has vetted them for quality and compliance check. This is one of the such a minor reason that you say you can speak English. It doesn't matter. You must have passed the test from an authorized training center. What if you say your degree was taught in English? Is there another way of proving? Of course there is. There is an organization called ECCTIS in the UK which charges around £252 to assess that your degree is equivalent to the UK degree level, and then they will give you a reference number if that is the case. If you are not sure, my recommendation is go to authorized training center, which I'm going to provide in the link down below, and get yourself tested and pass the test at that level. That is another excellent way. Now, in certain countries, what people don't realize is because this visa is more than 6 months, there is a requirement for getting yourself checked for tuberculosis. People ignore that, and if they don't submit that from an authorized training center, again it has to be from an authorized medical center, not training center, medical center, which is also provided on the gov.uk website, your visa will be refused, right? So especially for India and Pakistan, where tuberculosis is there, if you're coming to the UK for more than 6 months, there is a requirement that you should have a tuberculosis certificate. That you don't have that. Don't think of this spouse visa application as I'm married, so I will come to the UK. No, what you need to be thinking by stepping back is, okay, if your culture norms do not allow, don't worry. There are other ways to prove that. What are the other ways? WhatsApp communications, emails, video calls, um, photographs that can prove that you made some plans about your life in the UK, or when you were in the home country, when you got married, or before the marriage, what discussions. Even though they were private discussions, you can handpick and try to make sure that you remain civil and do not include certain things that are objectionable. And there are other provisions that you need to bear in mind, which you must disclose. For example, it is possible that your previous relationship ended. Therefore, you must also provide the proof of that. If you think that I'm going to only provide the proof of my current marriage and not the previous divorce, or that the relationship ended, or I had a child with someone, and I'm not going to disclose that, that itself is also going to come and hurt you really badly. And when you make false statement or use deception to secure a visa, you most likely to be refuse the visa. No, if you are honest, the UK Home Office is a fantastic organization that if you meet the grounds, you're credible and you disclose, right? They have no reason to refuse, because they have to also follow a certain framework, right? For example, if you had a marriage that did not end well, you disclose that I got divorced from a previous partner, her name is so and so, here is the terms of her settlement, I got the divorce certificate or the documentation from my lawyer. You upload that, and if you have a child with that person, you upload that also, and you provide the details. The reason why I'm saying that is, why this is important for the UK Home Office, because that person, that kid who you are father to in from the previous marriage, could also have a right of British citizenship, because now you also have a settled status, right? Please do not hide certain things and make disclosure. Be specific, and always use a cover letter saying, I am applying for my partner who's based in, say, Pakistan or India or Nigeria, on the basis that I am settled or I am a British citizen. Number one, I'm of the age of 18. Second, I earn, say, more than £29,000. So I provided the proof, employment copy, pay slips, and bank statements. Then I also have cash savings. Third, because of the culture norms, we are not allowed to stay together, but we have other ways to prove that our relationship is genuine, ongoing. So first is a proof of marriage is a marriage certificate. Second is our WhatsApp communication that covers whatever the tenure that you're saying from this period, this year to this year. And I've segregated for you by each year, by month. And I have also taken the liberty to translate it for you in English so that you can understand. And if you wish to check whether this is what I have said is accurate, you are welcome to do that, right? And then you also write that as it was required to disclose if I've had any previous relationships. The answer to that is yes. It did not end up on a good note, but in the interest of transparency, here is a divorce certificate confirmation attested by the court. You provide that, you provide the details, and I also have a child if you have one. And you say you've decided to live in this area or the new area once your wife comes. For example, you could be living in a single room, even as a settled person in the UK, and you can say, after my wife arrives, we intend to take a 1-bedroom flat that is going to cost us this much. We've had some discussions. I even showed my wife on WhatsApp call what that property looks like. This was the date of the viewing. This is the rent, and I believe I can afford that. Also, I have some savings, and I am a person of good character, and I have been honest and accurate in this application. Once is going to build a very positive and credible picture of you, because what they're looking for is is a person that are these two people are going to come together and build a life in the UK going forward or not, right? So I hope through this virtual consultation, the way I'm been speaking and explaining to you, I hope you got some insights. And if you believe I have added some value, you feel like subscribing, please do that. I cannot thank you enough for the amount of support that I've been getting from various blogs on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm so grateful. And if you believe your case is complex, if you're sitting in Pakistan, if you're sitting in India or whichever country, right? I'm always available. You can book a consultation with me and I'll be happy to guide you and do a document.